What if everything you were told about being smart was wrong? Not slightly wrong, completely, fundamentally wrong. Because the people who are called too quiet, too sensitive, too much in their own head, they weren't broken, they weren't behind. They were operating on a frequency most people never even tune into. This is not a list of facts about intelligence. This is a mirror, and some of you are about to recognize yourselves in it for the very first time. We've been sold a lie about what intelligence looks like. We picture the person with all the answers, the one who speaks first, the one who never hesitates, never doubts, never sits in silence, wondering if they're doing life right. But real intelligence, the kind that reshapes how a person moves through the world, doesn't look like that. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't perform. It questions. It sits uncomfortably with complexity. It feels things deeply, and it carries a weight that most people will never understand. So here are 4 signs that your mind is operating at a level most people never reach. Not because you're better, but because you're built differently. Sign 1. You think too much, and it terrifies you. There's a version of you that plays out every conversation before it happens. Every decision gets weighed against 17 possible outcomes. You lie awake at 2 a.m., not because you're anxious, but because your mind refuses to stop building, connecting, questioning. The world calls this overthinking. Science calls it something else entirely. Research from King's College London found a direct correlation between high cognitive ability and increased mental simulation, the brain's tendency to model complex futures in vivid, exhausting detail. In other words, your mind isn't malfunctioning. It's running calculations that slower processors can't even begin to load. But here's the part no one tells you. The curse of a powerful mind is that it never fully rests. And if you've spent years feeling like your thoughts were too loud, too heavy, too relentless, it wasn't weakness. It was the engine running at full capacity in a world that asked you to idle. The question isn't, how do you quiet the mind? The question is, what do you build with it? Sign 2. You doubt yourself constantly, even when you're right. This one surprises people because we assume intelligence comes with confidence. We picture the genius who walks into the room certain of everything. But that's not intelligence. That's ego wearing intelligence's clothes. There's a psychological phenomenon called the Dunning-Kruger effect. The less someone knows, the more certain they feel. But flip that coin. The more deeply someone truly understands something, the more aware they become of everything they still don't know. Expertise breeds humility. Mastery breeds doubt. Think about that. The person who second guesses their own judgment is not weak. They're accurate. They understand that reality is complicated. That certainty is often a sign of limitation, not wisdom. That the smartest thing a brilliant mind can do is stay open. But I want to speak to you directly now, because there's a version of this that's gone too far, where self-doubt isn't humility anymore. It's a prison, where every idea gets interrogated before it breathes, where you've spent so long questioning yourself that you've forgotten to trust yourself. Here's the shift. Doubt the idea. Question the plan. Interrogate the process. But do not doubt the mind behind it, because the very fact that you question yourself this deeply is proof that you're worth trusting. Sign 3. You feel most alive when you're alone. Not because you hate people, not because you're cold or disconnected, but because solitude is where you become yourself again. In a crowded room, something in you watches, observes, processes what everyone else is just experiencing, and it's exhausting. Not because people drain you, but because your mind is doing double the work, reading the room, questioning the subtext, feeling what isn't being said. Psychologist Elaine Aron studied this deeply. She found that highly intelligent people have a nervous system that processes stimulation more thoroughly than average. More input, more output, more internal noise after every interaction. And so you retreat, not to escape, to integrate. Solitude for a powerful mind isn't emptiness, it's maintenance. It's the space where everything you've observed, everything you've felt, everything you've absorbed gets sorted, examined, and turned into something meaningful. The world mistakes your silence for disconnection. But what's actually happening is that you're connecting at a depth most conversations never reach. There is genius in your quiet. Don't apologize for it. Sign 4. You've always felt like you don't quite belong, like you're watching life through glass. This one is the heaviest, and it's the one I want you to stay with, because there's a particular kind of loneliness that comes with a mind that sees things differently. You've been in the middle of laughter and felt strangely distant from it. You've been surrounded by people and still felt unseen. You've tried to explain how you think and watch someone's eyes go flat because the depth of it didn't translate. And maybe you decided that the problem was you. But consider this: a telescope is not broken because it sees farther than the naked eye. A frequency is not wrong because most radios can't receive it. And you are not flawed because the world has struggled to hold the full weight of how you think and feel and experience everything. Psychologists who study giftedness, true cognitive giftedness, consistently find one trait that runs through all of them. Not brilliance, not achievement, existential intensity, a sense of being fundamentally out of step with the ordinary pace of the world. You've felt that, haven't you? That feeling isn't a wound, it's a compass. It points toward the people, the work, the purpose that can actually hold you. The ordinary world feels small to you because you were never designed to live inside its boundaries. So here's what I want to leave you with. Intelligence is not a trophy. It is not a test score or a salary or a room full of people applauding. Intelligence is a way of experiencing the world with depth, with intensity, with a burning need to understand what most people are content to accept. And sometimes that's beautiful, and sometimes it's unbearable, and sometimes it's both at once. But here is the truth that I need you to carry forward from this moment. You were not made to fit. You were made to build something that others can fit into. You were not made to quiet your mind. You were made to aim it. You were not made to belong everywhere. You were made to belong so completely to your own vision that the right people eventually find their way to you. The signs were always there. The question was never whether you were intelligent enough. The question is, what are you going to do with a mind like yours? Because the world doesn't need more noise. It needs more people willing to think this deeply. That's you. Now go.